Guns up, Poke fans. It's time for PokeCast. Broadcasting live at Mr. Bill's Seafood Express, located at 500 East McNeese Street in Lake Charles. Now, here's your host, Jim Gazzolo.
We're back at Mr. Bill's across campus at McNeese State on 92.9 The Lake. Another Wednesday night here at Mr. Bill's. A little more crowded than last week when apparently you guys put on a show across the street that took some of our fans away. That's just rude. A couple of things to get into before we get into our guests tonight. We start with Logan.
Yes, sir.
The Ticket Master, as I call him. In a minute, but I want to start off football, 3 p.m. this weekend at Southeastern. First Cowboy game in 21 days. Not exactly how you want a season to go. It'll be interesting to see how they play. It'll be interesting how Southeastern plays. They've only played one game in that same amount of time, so it's an interesting time. First women's basketball game will be Monday, 11 a.m. at the Legacy Center. 3,000 screaming kids will be with us, as I call it, Chuck E. Cheese on steroids. Coming at us as the women play Dillard and Will Wade's crew. For the first time ever, will take the court, minus Will Wade, at VCU. Brendan Chambers will be coaching them on that night. When they return on Friday night for the first home game, Coach Hamilton will be coaching them as they rotate the 10 games until Will Wade is off suspension and back on the bench. And McNeese women's soccer today won 4-3 in the Southland Conference Tournament first game. They were tied 1-1, went to penalty kicks, and won 4-3 to advance to the second round. That catches up everything up on news. And we get ready for our first guest. Logan Loftin is with us. Logan, I call you the Ticket Master.
You do.
It's better than the 15 titles they gave you that he sure gives you. So you're the Ticket Master for now.
Yep.
Okay. As the Ticket Master, you got to be busy this week.
Pretty busy, for sure. We had a lot of events coming up.
Okay, let's start with Sunday.
Okay.
A fall baseball game generally draws nobody.
That is correct. We normally don't even charge for them.
And this week you've got a sold-out crowd.
2,700 plus.
Plus what?
A few.
So it's going to be standing room only.
Of course. Yep.
All right, Logan, how do you one, put all those people into place, and two, how quickly did they sell?
So it's definitely going to be tough. You know, logistically, we haven't had that many people at a baseball game, at least since I've been here. That's max capacity that the fire marshal allows. So it's going to be, packed to the gills. It'll be standing room only. We'll offer seating in the stands, of course. First come, first serve, and then we got the hill down the left field line, and then wherever else you can find some space at.
Are you guys calling that officially the Hill?
I mean, I think it's a good nickname. It makes sense, I think it plays perfectly with the last name. But, this is the first time we've charged for a fall game, at least since I've been here. It was only $5, but, we had a lot of demand and excitement. We sold out in 3 weeks, complete every single ticket, gone in 3 weeks.
That's defending national champion LSU is here for a fall game, and that actually ends the fall season. Then we turn to Monday.
Yep.
And the kids' game at Legacy Center.
Correct.
How many kids are you preparing for?
It's 3,300 kids, 4th and 5th graders in Calcasieu Parish. All of them are coming.
I call it Chuck E. Cheese on steroids.
That sounds about right. That's a good nickname for it.
Last year, a lot of noise, a lot of excitement.
Yep.
How exciting is it for you guys to basically be able to kind of expand your window of who can watch and that to a new set of kids?
I think it's huge. Last year we had just the 5th graders come. It was around 1,500. Being able to expand it and especially expand our partnership with the Calcasieu Parish School Board is huge, right? Inviting another demographic of students who potentially would want to come to McNeese, in 10 years or something, 10, 12 years, is great. We have a whole line set up in the lobby with student athletes that are passing out things for them, interacting with them, right? Getting them accustomed to coming to McNeese events. It's a really exciting time, and our girls team absolutely loves hearing the screaming kids, because if you remember last year, they screamed the entire game till the very end. We were up 50 points or something. They were still talking trash to the other team, so it was a really good environment.
3 hours after I got home, it was still amazing.
Oh yeah, it was pretty crazy.
So it is noisy, that's for sure. So if you're a McNeese fan that isn't 4th or 5th grade, just be prepared.
Correct.
I want to bring some earplugs.
Yeah, we're it's still open to the public, of course, or season ticket holders, but it'll be a tight squeeze in there. I think our seating area is like 3,700 seats, so we'll still have some available, but it'll definitely be tight for sure.
Okay, and then talk to me about the Legacy 500. Now that's your season ticket basketball plan.
Yep.
Did you bring a shirt?
We did. It's on the helmet up here for people.
I'm supposed to ask, did you bring the shirt?
I did not bring the shirt. I forgot it. I will admit. Michael, who's here, he helped me out and he brought it because he knew I was going to forget it. But we do have the shirt right here for people at Mr. Bill's. So the whole promotion is we're trying to reach 500 season ticket holders, general admission season ticket holders, for the first time in McNeese history. We've never hit that number before, and that's a goal that we're trying to hit, especially with Coach Wade here and the excitement around him. We're in the 400s now, so we're getting very, very close. And if you do become a member, you get one of these exclusive shirts here as being one of the first 500. Yep.
Now, I saw you guys handed out today, or announced today, all of your promotions for basketball. I did not see a Heath Schroyer bobblehead night. Why is
that? We're still talking about funding for that. You know, we're looking for a sponsor to put on this other side. You know, we're going to talk about it and see what fits best with his image. You know, so.
Well, because he's making you do all these shows and that now.
Oh yeah.
So you're becoming a TV personality and a personality like him. Are we gonna have a Logan bobblehead night?
We'll have to see if that's in the budget too. I don't know. I'll talk to my boss.
Let's talk about the basketball season because we've never had this much excitement, this many season tickets. How is it season tickets besides that? And if you guys reached all of your, I know you sold the 30 on the floor right off the bat.
Correct. So this is the first year we've had courtside seating available. We got to try it out during the conference tournament. We had 30 seats there, and we thought it was such a good idea. We wanted to transfer it to our season. All 30 seats sold out in the first week of them being available, and then we have 364 seats in our Platinum Club. We normally sell around half of that for a regular season. All 364 seats are sold out, and as well as our 6 suites at the top.
Okay, now here's my idea for you guys.
Yep.
Everybody's got nicknames for their fans.
Okay.
Duke has the Cameron Crazies. What about giving the frat guys the Legacy Loonies?
That's not a bad idea. I mean, it plays off the L, you know, and I just don't want to get it mixed up with the Legacy 500 because those are, you know, we don't want to have too many legacy
names. These are
names.
things that can transform it and go for year to year.
If we call them the Legacy Loonies, they have to come out to the games and make sure that they are, you know, living up to the name.
Well, that's the whole point.
Yeah.
They have to live up to the name.
I hope so.
So for you, this whole thing is, I want to ask you about this now. Homecoming got canceled as far as the game goes. You guys are going to have just all those things that are planned now for the game against the last game of home against Houston Christian, correct?
Correct, yep. So we still had the homecoming parade on Thursday, of course. We still had the block party on Friday, but all of the halftime festivities, so the crowning of the homecoming king and queen, as well as also our senior night for our football team, for the few seniors we have. So all of that will still be moved. You know, it'll be happening, just moved to this last game. Yes, sir.
And what do you expect? Yes, sir. We don't do that.
Oh.
And what are you expecting? Did you ever expect this much interest in basketball when Will Wade came here? Were you kind of prepared for it, or?
So, you know, I'm not from Louisiana, so I wasn't too familiar with Coach Wade. You know, coming into here, I knew of his name, but I didn't know too much about him. So, you know, Heath had told me that it was going to be pretty crazy when we announced him. He kind of told me a few weeks before, and he was like, just get ready. Like, you haven't had anything like this before. And he was right. I was not expecting the amount of traffic. I mean, after we had his press conference in the Legacy Center, we had a line in the lobby of the ticket office of people trying to buy Platinum Club and season tickets. We've never had that before. So
and that's a whole new group of fans you've been able to experience. What have they been saying? And what are they saying about the Legacy Center itself?
Yeah, you know, we have a lot of new fans in Lake Charles that have never come to a basketball game here, which is a great demographic to hit, right? We always want new people locally to come to the Legacy Center, but I also think it's great having people from out of town come too, right? He has a lot of Baton Rouge fans that follow him wherever he goes, and they're going to, you know, take the trip down the highway and come on to the Legacy Center and see us. So they're really excited to see the venue. I think we have the best venue in the state for basketball. It's not the biggest, but I think it's the nicest, in my opinion.
It is probably the nicest, actually. Yep. And it's actually bigger than most people think it is as far as that goes. But it also probably will have the greatest capacity this year based on what I see around the state.
I also think with the way that the seats are arranged, with them basically being on top of the court, it is going to be loud. You know, for some of those games, especially his first game back against Southern Miss and the, you know, Lafayette game, it is going to be rocking in there. So
yeah, a lot of anticipation for that, but you got to get the kids out.
I know.
That's the biggest thing is you got to get the kids out. You got to give them a nickname. You got to give them their own shirts. These shirts are fine.
I'll get Michael to go meet with them.
Shirts.
Yep. Well, they're getting a shirt, actually. We have an open practice for students. I think it's next week on Wednesday, November 8th, and they're going to be able to get the student section shirts at the event, I believe. So
you're giving all these shirts away, and now you got to give us some bobbleheads away.
You're a big bobblehead guy.
I love bobbleheads.
I was about to say, do you want? I feel like you want one of me and Heath on your. You want one on your?
Absolutely
on your desk?
not.
Okay.
Absolutely
We'll send you one.
No. If I do, I'd give it to my dog and let him play with it. That's the way you got to look at those things. What about for fall? What about for spring? Are you going to use Sunday as a chance to not only showcase your facilities, but also kind of push the spring tick sales?
Yeah, I think so. We have a lot of people coming to the ballpark that day that may have never came to a McNeese baseball game before, some out of town, some not. And I think it'll be a great way to show off our facilities, especially since they've been completely repaired since the hurricane. We got the cover over the seats again. All of the seating has been fixed. The hill's great. Bring your own lawn chairs. I think it's a great way to definitely display that. And hopefully we can get some conversion between that game and also the regular season for them to see the Cowboys in action during the regular year. So
this has been a busy year for you.
For sure, and it's really good. Especially with all the stuff that's happened the last couple years here. I think we're definitely on the up and up here at McNeese, and to have all this excitement around our campus has been great, especially for business here for sure.
Logan Loftin's been our guest on the first segment. When we come back, Justin Hill will talk about that fall game and the crowd that's coming after this on the PokeCast from Mr. Bill's.
Mr. Bill's Seafood Express, located at 500 East McNeese Street in Lake Charles, is locally owned and operated. Don't forget to check out Mr. Bill's Seafood Express daily lunch specials Monday through Friday. Mr. Bill's Seafood Express also has live music every Thursday and Saturday night. Chad Poussaint and Jason Guillory, the owners of Mr. Bill's Seafood Express, proudly support the McNeese Cowboys. Mr. Bill's Seafood Express, 500 East McNeese Street in Lake Charles, says go Pokes.
The McNeese PokeCast is also brought to you by Keelan Construction. Keelan Construction is South Louisiana's leading vertical and horizontal general contractor. Keelan courageously pursues complex challenges to advance further the life and culture of our staff and the communities we serve. And also brought to you by Southwest Beverage. Rooted in the community of Southwest Louisiana since 1954, Southwest Beverage has been a family-owned and operated business for 3 generations. Bud Light and Southwest Beverage has been a loyal supporters of McNeese State University for over 30 years by providing athletic scholarships as well as scholarships for students. We pride ourselves on being the premier beverage supplier in Southwest Louisiana and will continue to be here for many years to come. Thank you for your support of our brands and McNeese Athletics, and as always, go Pokes.
Justin Hill is our second guest here at Mr. Bill's on PokeCast, and Coach, defending national champs coming to town.
Yeah.
But also your alma mater.
Yeah, that's it'll be good. I mean, why not have a fall game against one of the best teams in the country last year? Right?
But it's your school.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. So I think you can still write their story without me in it. So it's just I don't think that was for me. So
11 years ago when you showed up here, did you ever think you'd have a fall game sold out?
Well, we couldn't have fall games at the time, so you just never know what's going to happen with us. That's for sure.
So what's it mean for your program? Because I think it shows a lot of respect that you've developed a program where somebody's going to want to come that has value and values a game against you to finish out their fall season, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably the biggest part of those guys coming, it gives you something to look forward to. That's just not just playing each other. We've been playing each other for 7 weeks now, and getting a chance to play them. And it's not something I always think about as far as how other people perceive our program. But I think you're right. I mean, the value that other people have, I think that part is important. And again, it gives us something to look forward to. And there's not going to be a pregame speech. I think the guys will be excited.
You mentioned earlier this week that nobody's really in the hot tub this week. They all want to play in this game. How are the kids looking forward to this?
Yeah, I mean, we gave them a couple days off, just group stuff. I mean, we don't want to sit there and kind of overcook it a little bit this week. We just want to make sure that we're as healthy as we can be. Have a couple of good practice over the weekend, get ready, and play 18 innings on Sunday.
Yeah, let's talk about that 18 innings.
Yeah.
How do you divide that up? And will we see some things like different situations you want to put people in that?
Yeah.
Will we see the same guy bat 4 times in 4 innings?
Well, depending on, I don't know if you're going to see that, but I think what you'll see a little bit more, we're gonna try to get some length out of the pitchers and try to make sure that nobody kind of overextends himself. But we're going to do our thing, and I think they're going to do theirs, and there'll be a scoreboard, and we'll see what happens.
The For the fans, though, now have you heard from your fans? Obviously, the sellout is one thing, but how excited are they to get LSU here?
Well, I think just the fact, like you said, it's a sellout. I mean, we certainly have heard from them, and we're starting to prep for people coming to tailgate, and there's been a lot of preparation. I know you had Logan on earlier. I mean, we were out there. We had an operations meeting on Monday. I mean, it's a big to do with a lot of things going on. So the preparation's there, and we're expecting a good show.
Justin Hill is our guest on the PokeCast, and if you have a question for Coach Hill, just step to the mic, give your name, and ask your question. I guess the biggest thing for me is you didn't have fall when you started in this job. Mm-hmm. You had a fall practices, but you didn't have fall games and that. How has the game evolved because of that, and what does fall mean now?
Well, I think fall means, however you value it, just the opportunity to get your system in and what you're going to do. That part was always big, especially when we first started. But then, we had the hurricane year where we only had 15 days, so, it means different things to different teams. But we got a lot of new guys this year, and so this year it's been really important for us to really get to know each other a little bit and get to know what we want to do from a program standpoint. But it's, it matters, but it's not everything.
How much do you give guys off? Because a good portion of your guys now, especially with the portal, especially with the way minor league baseball is set up and different, they'll play summer ball. How much do you try to give them off, and how much do you not want to overwork them in the fall?
Well, it's mostly balance is what you're trying to get for it, because you want to get those guys in, around each other. You want to get them playing baseball, doing the things that we need to do first. Because if you don't do that, then when we recruited these guys, we saw them play baseball. We didn't see them do academics and all the things. We want to go do baseball stuff. So I think getting out on the field as quick as possible is going to be really important.
And the one thing about it is I always ask about pitching wise. Do you fear overusing guys, underusing guys? How do you know how to set that up? Because right when you come back, you're in your mini spring training.
Yeah, and I think that's the hardest part, because you got to communicate with the players you've got. You can't overdo them. You got to give them the rest that you need to, but at the same time you got to see them. Because if you don't see them, then how can you help them get better? So I think that's a balancing act that I don't think we ever all completely have it figured out.
Did you learn a lot last year because you had guys like Bryson Hudgens that was coming back from surgery? How to use them, how to set them up, how to get them ready to be pitching? Because he came back in basically 10, 11 months to throw again from Tommy John.
Yeah, that was a tough one. If you don't have that full time to get to know each other, plus that break, sometimes you have a guy coming back from a surgery that, his process takes him all the way through into competition. There's no break really, so each guy's kind of their own thing. But like I said, it's a balancing act. It takes a lot of communication and hard work.
How many pitchers are you going to use Sunday?
I don't know exactly. I mean, probably in the neighborhood between 10 and 12.
Are you going to sneak any scores of the Bears Saints?
No, I don't think so. Because the more I care about the Saints, the worse they do. So I'm going to kind of back off of that a little bit and try not to care so much,
I'll have the game on upstairs. If
okay, well, you can throw it on the video board. We'll kind of watch it and see some.
Nobody wants to see.
Are there any highlights or just lowlights for that game?
You seen a Bears game?
No.
There are no highlights.
Oh, okay, there you go.
There have been no highlights for many years. For your guys, you have a lot of new guys coming in. Mm-hmm. A lot of position changes, a lot of decisions you'll have to make. Probably more so this fall than last, right? How do you kind of do that? Are you going to see a lot of people, a lot of places?
Well, I mean, I think you can start off with the most obvious. We have to somebody else throw game one. Everybody knew that Grant Rogers and how special he was. He actually showed up today when we were on the field today. So maybe we can get an inning out of him on Sunday. That would be all right. But yeah, we'll get it figured out. I don't think this game on Sunday is not a make or break for us. I do think we get a chance to learn a lot about our team, because I mean you're gonna have the juice flowing in that game. There's no way to fabricate that in any other way. So it'll be a good time.
It's a good week for you guys. You have Jace Peterson in the World Series. Mm-hmm. You had another player on a roster in the World Series. He didn't make the actual active roster, but Jace did. What do you think of that? And what does that kind of mean for your program?
Man, I mean, you're talking about Jace Peterson and Grant Anderson, those guys that contributed to teams and found a way to. Their teams obviously got to the pinnacle of the sport, and to know those guys personally, to know the type of people they are, the men they are, and the family members, the family men that they are. just so excited for them. I mean, it's a great opportunity, and no matter how it plays out. So it's obviously definitely a different type of interest this year for the World Series.
And they come back to work out here, don't they?
All the time, yeah. Those guys will be here. They'll be here for alumni day right before the season. They've been nothing short of great to us.
What does that do for a program?
Well, it just, I think it gives you some validity, just with people who may not know who you are and and especially from the players in your program who may not know who they are and what they are, and so I think it gives you a lot of that. But I mean, I think we get used to it. The guys have been around for a while.
Yeah, well, you do, obviously, because you guys have brought them in. But you've also embraced the fact that you let them be a part of the program during that time. And it's a good thing to see your guys. And also, how does that get you as recruiting goes when you see something you can say, hey, our guys can get there. This is a path.
Well, we're definitely in the hallway we're going to be updating the pictures and stuff with the World Series logo and some stuff. So I mean, like I said, anything that you do, if you're a good player, those guys are going to find you. And I think anything that those guys do right now is certainly a plus for them professionally. But we're kind of riding their coattails from a exposure standpoint.
Well, recruiting wise, when is the big point this year now with baseball? Do you do most of it in the summer? Do you do it the spring before? How do you do it in baseball? Because it's a different timing, because when you're playing, they're playing, but there's not that open time before they have to be in school.
I think it's nonstop. I mean, it's nonstop. It's from the moment the first time you could go out in September. I mean, we've been working at it, and I think we'll probably go hard at it until probably mid-December, and then probably pick back up in March. But we're gonna use all the resources we have to be able to get those guys in here, and because you got to do the visits, you got to do those things, and I think obviously with the facilities starting to get back to where they need to be, you're able to bring guys on campus, and hopefully we'll be able to land some good players.
Is there a chance that this becomes a recruiting tool because you have LSU? You can say, hey, you're going to play LSU for 18 innings?
I don't know.
At least open up some eyes?
Yeah, well, I mean, you're going to see that. I mean, Kendall Rogers is going to be here. I mean, people who have never seen our field or our facility or any of those kind of things, they're going to see it. I mean, I know our folks are going to have it on their social, and I'm sure LSU will have their creative team on the social. So there'll be a lot of exposure that'll happen on Sunday. So we obviously, we did that for a reason.
You said the relationship with Coach Johnson started really when you took your team out to Arizona, and you played well enough to where there was some interest that they could get something out of this. Did you feel that?
Yeah, I mean, Jay and I have had a relationship ever since then, and obviously once he became the head coach, anytime you got a guy's cell phone number and you send him a text and he responds back to you, there's something to that, and I'm sure my history there at LSU, has some connection as well with that, but. Yeah, I mean, obviously that guy's extremely determined and focused on what he wants to do, and he believes coming to play us and keeping us on the schedule is something that's going to benefit him.
Are people going to be allowed to watch batting practice?
I think I don't remember exactly. I think it's 2.5 hours before is when gates open, and we actually start. First swing happens 2.5 hours before. Yeah.
So you want them there the whole day?
Oh, come on, man! Like, I mean, that's one thing I can tell you. We're not going to lose a party. I mean, it's going to be a good time.
So who gets the start? Who gets
I don't
the first
know yet.
pitch?
Yeah, I don't know yet. It's probably.
Are they fighting for it?
No, I mean, I haven't told him yet, and so I think that's a little bit of not having a guy coming back that's kind of the guy in that moment. Obviously Ty Abraham and what he did for us last year is probably the most decorated player on the mound that we've got coming back, but really no telling which one we're going to do yet.
And the lineup, is that also being fought for?
I would say there's
spots?
a lot of opportunities right now. I mean, hey, if I'm being real with you, we probably would have shut down fall already if we didn't have this fall game. We got a few guys banged up, so we're going to play a few guys maybe out of position. But I mean, if the game's scheduled, we're going to play it.
So at that noon on Sunday, 18 innings. You said earlier it was 10 innings first, and then the final 8.
That's right.
What are there any new rules this year that you're going to put into place? Are you going to play with new rules?
No new rules this year. You'll have the pitch clock. Now, probably the biggest difference is we're required to actually have a visible pitch clock. We had the pitch clock last year. It reduced the games by between 20 and 30 minutes. But you'll have it. You'll have the actual visible clock this year.
You don't have bigger bases this year?
No, we don't have those. Now they put in a rule where you can play with the bigger bases if you play one of those professional parks, but we won't have those this year.
So there's no extra running.
No,
Same amount of running as
next
before.
year is the rule change year. So I mean, who knows what's going to happen with that? So we got time to screw it up. So.
All right, Coach Hill, thanks for joining us. Justin Hill, noon game on Sunday against LSU. Same time as the Bears Saints, in case you're interested. For any Bears fans out there, but no Saints.
Like
fans.
I said, tens
There
of
are no
people will
Saints
be
fans
watching.
here.
So yes.
All right, Coach, thanks for joining us. We'll have you back in the spring.
Sounds great.
And I want to hear about who you're going to start.
Okay.
Give us your first start. Justin Hill, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
The McNeese PokeCast is also brought to you by Southwest Louisiana Credit Union. Southwest Louisiana Credit Union now offers an account just for McNeese students. It's the blue and gold checking account. All it takes is $5 to get you in. You get a free debit card, online and mobile banking, and access to a smart ATMs. There's no service charge. You can even get free financial counseling. That's why Southwest Louisiana Credit Union is now the official credit union for McNeese students and McNeese athletics. Find out more at swlacu.com. To open a blue and gold checking account, go by Southwest Louisiana Credit Union at 4056 Ryan Street, about a block away from campus. Membership is required. As the oldest athletic booster organization at McNeese, the McNeese Cowboy Club is proud to continue providing support to all McNeese athletes for 49 years. We meet every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. in the Cowboy Club room located over the south end zone with talks from coaches and other leaders in McNeese athletics. Come join us and discover what being a McNeese athletic booster is all about. And go Pokes.
We're back at Mr. Bill's for PokeCast on a Wednesday afternoon, or a Wednesday evening now as we go in. Game 7 of the World Series is coming up. Maybe Jace Peterson will get in the game, McNeese alumni. Coach Pecoraro is with us now. Tony Pecoraro, defensive coordinator for McNeese. You're in the hot seat now.
Yeah, appreciate you having me.
You ready? I appreciate you showing up.
Yeah.
A lot of questions this year, obviously, about McNeese football. And that, did you guys see it coming at all, 1-7? Are you guys surprised by it as much as everybody else?
Yeah, I'd be lying if I said we weren't. Yeah.
What's been the biggest? Because there's been no, especially the last 3 weeks, that there's been no rhythm with this team. There's been no rhythm with the season. You play one game in 21 days, and that. How tough is that?
I mean, there's been a lot of hurdles. That's definitely one of them. We talked about it today. It's like, we played one game basically in the last 4 weeks, and it's just adversity that happens, and you just got to find a way to battle through it, and that's what we're trying to do right now.
If you have a question for Coach Peck, just come to the microphone and ask. Fire away. But defense has been under scrutiny a little bit.
Yep.
Offense has been under scrutiny a little bit. But defensively, stopping the run, what's been the biggest issue? I know one of the things is, and I mentioned this last week, is last week when you guys went up against, or last game when you went up against Incarnate Word, they had 4 of their 5 starters on the offensive line were graduate seniors. The other one was a senior.
Yeah.
And you started guys that were still in their teens.
We got I was actually looking at it today. We got 15 guys that are freshmen or sophomores playing. We have 2 seniors on the entire defense. One was just moved over from offensive line to defensive line. And then we got Braden Adams. You got Trey Winters and Braden Adams is a senior. Everybody else is pretty much younger. And even on the defensive line, like when you look at it, you had, Ernest come back, and you had Weldon Williams come back, and then everybody else in the whole defensive line is brand new.
And that's obviously the hardest thing to do is get not continuity with that, but just you don't have a lot of depth there either, and experience depth. Is that the biggest issue? Because it does seem like you wear down in the second halves.
Yeah, I think we are wearing down right now. It's just we got to do a better job of getting off the field on third down, especially in the second half. I think we played 47 plays last time in the second half, and that has to do with us. We have to get off the field on third down. I look at that a lot of times like, okay, what can help us get better? I think getting some tackles for losses, get some negative yardage plays on early first and second down to make sure now it's not like third and medium all the time or third and short. Because when it's third and short, third and medium, the favors goes in the offensive hands, and we got to do a better job of putting them in third and long.
Is there much you can do at this point in the season at stopping the run? Because you can only scheme so much. At some point in time, you guys have to stand up, and they just have to be big enough and old enough.
That's definitely part of it, but I mean, we're going to do some stuff that hopefully tries to help out a little bit. But when you help out one side, you put more pressure on another. So, but we definitely got some wrinkles this week that we're going to try to do to make sure that we can try to do our best job there.
A lot of people ask me, what kind of defense do you actually run? You run a multiple defense.
Yeah.
You don't run a 3-4-4. You run different times at different things because everybody gets caught up in the numbers game. How different do you do, and how much shifting do you do?
I mean, if you were to put us on, just say what we're pretty much a 3-3-5. As far as personnel is concerned, we got 3 linebackers, 3 defensive line, and 5 DBs. We're very multiple in the fronts. We have even fronts, odd fronts, be able to play 3 technique where we need to, whether it's to the back, to the tight end, wherever we want it. And then our odd fronts just trying, either we're 5s and 0s or 4 eyes and 0s, trying to take away the run.
And in that case, you need a lot of talent at linebacker.
Yeah.
Is that, I mean, your linebacker, you have one of the best linebackers in the country in Micah Davey, but you don't seem to have a lot of depth there.
No,
right?
No, we don't. I mean, we had Jordy Tosin got injured early in the year, and then we had another one that, is not with us no longer. And then all of a sudden now we got pretty much Braden Adams, Micah Davey, and then we got 2 true freshmen that are getting a considerable amount of time.
Okay, let's go to that since that's the big issue is the young guys. Last year, you kind of had a very young secondary almost out of force.
Yes.
Now you're being forced to use a lot of young guys
up
front.
Yes.
What's the difference? Because you can kind of hide the secondary a little bit more. It's hard to hide the up front guys, isn't it?
Yeah, you can't hide them. It's going to show at some point, especially the later the game goes when you're more tired and you got to get a stop. And Mother Nature's always going to win. The bigger guys, the older guys, the stronger guys going to win a lot of scrimmage.
And now we go to the bigger question of what can you do the last 3 games to kind of combat the running game? Because now everybody's going to run against you, at least test you.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, why would you not? But I think, to me, football is about, of course, blocking and tackling, number 1, and then numbers and angles. So we got to find a way to get more numbers down in the box.
Okay, so now let's go to the situation of when you played in Incarnate Word, great first half. Was there anything you guys did differently in the second half, or was it a case of wearing down? Was it a case of them figuring it out, or because they did change quarterbacks?
No, they did, and we changed some stuff as well. But I think towards the end, like I kind of was saying earlier, we had a 14-play drive, and then we followed it by another 11-play drive. I was looking at today, we've actually had 17 drives that have been 10 plays or more this year. So I'm like, okay, why? There's 2 good things. Just 2 things you look at it. One is we got to win third down, right? Because if you get to third down, you get off the field, the drive doesn't continue as long as it does. But secondly, you're also making them earn the scores, if you're going to take something positive out of it, So I think, again, it comes down to winning third down. And to win third down, you have to win first and second, When I was at Southern Miss and back in the day, we actually finished number 2 in the country at third down defense. And when I look back at it, it was because on third down, the average yard to gain was 8.7. So that means you won on first and second down. Well, right now, I guarantee, I haven't looked at the final numbers, but I bet you it's probably low third and mediums, probably 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, or lower than that. And when you're on defense, that's probably the hardest down to play. It's about 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5. It's easier to play when you're in 3rd and long all night.
So winning the first down, and first and second down.
It's huge.
Especially.
It's huge. We got to create more negative plays.
And that includes sacks, which you don't get a lot of sacks.
No doubt.
The last couple games, you have put a little more pressures on, but you're still not getting the big sacks.
Agreed.
And that leads to you're not getting the number of turnovers.
Agreed.
Because sacks lead to turnovers. How do you change that? Do you blitz? Are you trying to blitz more? Can you blitz more? Or?
Yeah, we're trying, but it comes down to younger guys, and sometimes you're limited at how much they can process as well. Because you're getting a lot of younger guys who are getting first-time reps. So it's like you're trying to do enough, but not do too much where they can't execute it.
And one thing we noticed up top, which I don't know because I don't watch the films, but there's a lot of guys that seem to rush to because they're young, and then they don't break down at the time to make the tackle.
Yeah.
Do you notice that a lot, that you're teaching a lot of fundamentals when it comes to the tackling?
Oh, we start with that every day. We actually do a little speed, basically called out of control speed to near foot. It's basically long stride in it to all of a sudden when you get to the point of contact, getting yourself back under control. So we got two different ways we kind of practice that. We call speed and near foot. It's kind of like when I have an angle on somebody. And then speed to shimmy is when me and you are head up and you can go either way. So I'm running along as fast as I can. I'm out of control. When I get there, I'm back under control, so now I can make the tackle.
Is there? Have you seen a problem with tackling? Or?
Yeah, I was looking at actually a big play cut up today, and there's a lot of times we're there. We have about 5-6 guys. Even in Incarnate Word, there was a 3rd and 5, and they threw they motioned receiver. They threw a bubble screen. We had about 7 guys at the point of contact, and we didn't put them on the turf. And if we put them on the turf, now it's 4th down.
Both often, here's the thing that is noticeable that to us is with McNeese, even a lot of times when you have good starts on a season or a play, a drive, good starts, but when something bad happens because they're young and that, they kind of snowball.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, it's 3-4 drives. You don't get a 1st down. The defense comes back on, and they have that kind of woe is us still mentality that they haven't gotten over yet.
I think a lot of time that comes with age and experience. Of knowing that, okay, adversity struck and how am I going to handle it? When you're young and adversity strikes and you maybe have not gone through a lot of adversity, you probably think negatively first, And I think that comes with more reps you get and also comes with age.
How'd the team take the week off? Because that was a real strange buildup. Not only was it homecoming, you expected to play up until Thursday, then all of a sudden you're off without knowing it. How've they taken that and how'd they come back this week?
At first, like anything, they were disappointed. Because you find out on Thursday, we're actually in Thursday in meetings, and all of a sudden, coach had a team meeting right before practice. Basically, was ready to get started, and we get the game canceled. So another little adversity. They were definitely excited about playing, especially it's homecoming, right? So you're super excited about that, and then just get another opportunity kind of taken away. But I think what coach did a great job of is not letting them sulk in it. Hey, it's adversity. We went to practice. So we got a jump start on the next opponent, which is Southeastern.
Talked to Coach a lot about this, but have you ever seen a stranger year for a team, or just a lot of weird things to go through?
One other year I've been like this. When I was at Southern Miss 20, it was COVID year, so it just actually has a lot of similarities at times, like who's in the roster, who's not, who's hurt, who's not, game canceled. So it's similar.
You guys had a lot of things this year where you brought in a lot of new people. A lot of them come in through the portal. You also brought in a lot of young freshmen. The freshmen seem to be benefiting by this, obviously, because they're getting opportunities they would not have gotten before. But did you guys feel like as some of the people that left that didn't want to be here, that there was actually more of energy on the team as some of the guys left?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, anytime you have an energy vampire, yeah, definitely. I think. And it's like, younger guys are excited. They get they get an opportunity to play. That's what they really came here for. That's what you're kind of telling them. You come out here to play, not to watch. And then I think more than anything else, the guys who are surviving right now are the guys who really want to be here and be part of it.
Is it almost a different way of coaching from the start of this year to now because of the youth?
Oh, definitely. I mean, because you're literally teaching everything. Like every aspect of everything you're teaching.
What have you seen from the young guys?
A lot of growth, a lot of improvement on fundamentals, on teaching them how to battle adversity. I think as they get older, they're going to be a group that is going to be pretty good. I think there's a pretty young, talented group, truthfully, especially because they're getting the opportunity to play. And the more you play, the better you're going to get. So I do think for the future of those guys, it's going to be a pretty good group.
For the portal, because you guys and Coach Goff talks about it a lot, is some of your portal was hit, but a lot of it was missed. And it was the first year, especially coming here, you almost had to grab what you had to get.
Yeah.
Because you guys got here so late. This year you were a little bit more selective. You went the junior college route. But he says that in order to build it right, you almost have to build it from the freshman up at this level. Do you see that? Because you see the league kind of split, the guys that went young and the guys that went portal. Is that a hard distinction to do for you guys?
I think every situation is kind of different. When you look at our situation, like year one, we got here 2 weeks before the second signing day, not even the first, right? So you're kind of at that point, you couldn't even get into the junior college market because it was all done, right? So that's the first year. Then this year, we tried to bring in some guys that we thought we could fill some holes immediately, and that's why we were so heavy as far as the junior college market is concerned. Try to bring them at the midterm so you actually get spring football with them, summer with them, and then here we go. Because like if you're just bringing everybody in June, let's say you bring your freshman class in June, they're getting 2 months, and here we go.
Yeah, But it's also, you do hit or miss with these kids because they're here for a reason, but they're also a lot of them have baggage.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I would agree. More probably in the portal than probably junior college. Usually in the portal, you've gone someplace and there's a reason why you're leaving. So you got to do your research and figure out what the reason is you're leaving, and can you handle that? With junior college, especially in today's game, because of the portal, I think a lot of guys are going junior college. Some are for grades, and some are because they can't have an opportunity anywhere else, and they feel like they could go somewhere better. So you have to do a good job there too, finding guys that you could fit your culture. I think is extremely important.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are just giving up completely on on high school kids because they're just going to go portal or.
Yeah.
Do you find that you can kind of steal some gems like a Paris or something?
Yeah, I mean we've got exactly. Paris is a great player. I think the two freshman linebackers will be good football players. I think Jelani will be a good football player. I think a receiving core as a freshman will be good players in time. I really do. But then you look at other teams around the league and they're playing with older guys. Right?
Yeah.
We played Incarnate Word, right? They were older.
They were as old as can be.
They were old as can be, and they brought in a lot of guys from the portal. So it can work, right? You just have to do a really good job of getting maybe the best ones you can get your hand on. I think that's really important.
When we come back with Coach Peck, we're going to talk about the future of McNeese and also talk about Micah Davey and what impact he's made on PokeCast.
The McNeese PokeCast is also brought to you by Twisted Vines. They offer residential and commercial lawn and landscaping maintenance, irrigation and drainage installation and repairs, outdoor landscaping, lighting, holiday and event light installation also with 3D drawings. Contact Ryan Boyd at 337-274-2267 or email info@twistedvineslc.com. Like them on Facebook and follow on Instagram at twistedvineslc. If you mention you heard the Twisted Vines on the podcast, you will receive a 10% discount off your purchase. And Pompelli Tire, official tire store of McNeese Athletics. Experts in tires, EV-specific tires as well. We do more than just tires. Mechanical work as well. A full-time mechanic is on site at all times to help in your needs.
We're back at Mr. Bill's across from campus and right down the road from the Legacy Center and also on 92.9 The Lake. This is the PokeCast on a Wednesday night. Big weekend coming up, as we've already mentioned. Football is back in action. We always cross our fingers this year because who knows what's going on. But football, 3 p.m. at Strawberry Stadium in Hammond. McNeese takes on Southeastern. Two teams that were supposed to compete for the conference title are both now 1-7, so nobody saw that coming either way. Women's basketball opens up 11 a.m. Monday in the Legacy Center against Dillard, and men play the first Will Wade game without Will Wade on Monday night at VCU. Interesting that who will coach that for the first 10 games as he waits out his suspension. Coach Peck is joining us, defensive coordinator of McNeese. And how tough of a year has it been for you? Because there's been some fire under you, but there's also been a lot of frustration because what you hoped to accomplish, what was accomplished, you went from one thing to now being more of a teaching coach to that. How frustrating has the year been and how disappointing?
I mean, definitely you're going into a year expecting different things, and it's not going maybe the way that you necessarily wanted it to, right? But I think like how you handle adversity is actually teaching those young men. You know what I'm saying? So like for me, yeah, it's not the result we want by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not going to, get around that at all. But, they're all looking at you, right? So if I sit there and I show frustration, or if I'm, showing defeat, how is that going to go off to them? So to me, again, it's another teaching moment. Like, hey, back's against the wall. It's not going how you want it to go, but what are you going to do about it? Life knocks you down, get back up, dust yourself off, and go to work, because that's your only choice, right? So I think that's kind of how I personally look at it.
Well, I like to tell McNeese fans that if you think it's tough for McNeese, think about what Southeastern's going through. They're 1-7. They were picked to win the league. They actually started the year as I recall, as I think the number 18 or 17 team in the country. So it does happen to a lot of different teams. What do you see from them?
I see a good football team, to be honest with you. Like when you look at them, like preseason, like you talked about, they had they had the most in the conference.
Yeah.
They had 2 quarterbacks that are still playing for them. They're a little young at running back. Their tight ends are probably some of the better tight ends, honestly, in the league. I think they're pretty good. I see a solid football team that's, probably at some point maybe stopped believing a little bit and had some adversity and probably just didn't deal with adversity well. But I see a very good football team.
If you have any questions for Coach Peck, come on up to the microphone and ask away. The question for a lot of people is Micah Davey.
Yeah.
He's having a terrific year. How good is he, and how much have you seen him improve in the last 2 years?
I think Micah is a very good football player. When we first got here, when I first walked in the door and started dealing with Micah, he was a walk-on, and as soon as we started that spring, I could already tell he had some ability. And he's very, very smart. Very smart, very physical, very strong, and he's a worker, So the thing I love about Micah is when you tell him something, he retains information and applies it. He doesn't just take it and all of a sudden you got to keep on coaching the same thing. You can actually coach the next thing, And he's done a really good job. Last year for us, truthfully, he played probably a lot more Sam backer for us in some heavy situations and kind of grew him. And then as the year went down, when Cordell got hurt, we kind of moved him back into the middle. And he's really flourished from there. And the thing about Micah, he could literally play our Mike backer, our Will backer, or our Sam backer.
And what do you see for him as a future? Because one of the questions a lot of people have is, can you keep him, obviously, in today's world? Do you almost have to re-recruit him now?
You got to recruit everybody. I think today's college football, right, is number one recruiting, but number two is retention is just as important as recruiting. So like all your good players, you got to find a way to retain them, because if you don't find a way to retain them, somebody else will.
Yeah, that seems to be the big thing. How good could he be?
I think he'd be an All-American. I think he could be he's a really good player. Like I said, he's very physical.
Yeah.
He's strong. He's smart. He's got all the intangibles. He's got the great size. He's quick. He's a student of the game, and he's a worker.
And he knows football because of his father.
He's been around football his whole life.
NFL quarterback and LSU quarterback, Ron Davey. So he knows the game. He seems to have learned, and he talks a little bit about learning what he learned from Cordell last year. Do you see a little bit of that in him, or is he a different guy?
I think he's a little different player. Cordell, was a little bit more aggressive at times down the line. I think Micah is a little bit more instinctual. But there's definitely some stuff that he learned from his game, especially I think in some blitz stuff.
Yeah, and his game against Lamar last year was amazing.
Yeah.
I think it was 18 tackles. That was his first real start, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, his first start. He made some plays during the year, but that was his first start as a freshman.
Yeah, in the middle. He was always starting for us as a Sam backer in our heavy packages. But as far as in the middle, that was his first start.
Yeah, and he turned it on with 18 tackles, which was amazing to me for his first start. Talk about the other two freshman linebackers, because now you're into a situation where you're building as much as anything else. What do you see from them, and how much have they progressed, and what can you expect from them the next 3 games?
I think they've progressed a lot. I think they probably, truthfully, you tell them at the beginning of the year, hey, look, you got to be ready to play. And it's week 1, week 2, week 3, and all of a sudden you're not really playing, and all of a sudden some stuff happened, and all of a sudden you're really being counted on, you know? So the good thing is we were trying to groom them through some special teams, because I kind of feel like the younger you are and you're playing special teams, you're going to get some kind of confidence built up that you can at least run with these guys, you can play with them. And then now they're both in a role where they've got to run the defense, because there's a lot of situations that our linebackers actually have to get the front set up, have to get the blitzer set up, just put a lot on them, So, like I was kind of saying earlier, it's like you want to do just enough, but not so much where they cannot handle it,
Coach Shunoff talks a lot about this week actually started going back to last week about the 4 games you get for free for freshmen and how he wanted to see some of the kids play. Do you have a lot of kids on defense? You do, because you've been playing so many young people anyways. Are there a lot of guys you're going to get a look at that you haven't seen a look at yet, or have you seen a look at everybody almost?
There's probably about 2 guys maybe in the freshman class that we haven't really truly got a look at yet. But pretty much everybody else is doing something, whether it's playing defense or special teams. They're contributing something on this football team.
Yeah, it's an interesting case, because when he talked about it, obviously everybody's talking about the quarterback, 6 killer. Maybe it's the name, maybe it's that, but everybody else said. When you see us defending him in practice, what do you see from him?
I think he's going to be a really good football player. I think he throws a beautiful football, and I think he's extremely athletic. Like, you look at him, you're like, oh, he's probably a decent athlete, but like he'll take off and go. I think he's actually got a lot of potential.
And are you looking forward to seeing him?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's been throwing some beautiful balls in practice.
Yeah, the word out of practice is he's throwing pretty good.
He is.
And he always did. He was kind of slowed by a shoulder injury to start the year.
Yeah.
So he was slowed a little bit, but he's picked it up really quick. Defensive backs. You guys seem to have a pretty good defensive backs this year. I know you got a couple of injuries now and that, but what do you see out of them, and do you think that could be a strength moving forward?
Yeah, it definitely can. All of our corners right now, like Levi, I think has had a pretty solid year. So does Jaden Matthews. I think Jaden Matthews is a really good football player. Safety-wise, I thought we did a good job in the offseason, going out, because the year previously, I think that was probably one of our weaker points. So we put a huge emphasis on that and bringing guys in. So, the safeties, we brought in Jamori. I thought Jamori's having a pretty good year. The only thing there is, Boogsy's injured now.
Yeah.
And then you had...
and Boogsy was having a really good year.
He was having a great year. And he's a fire
Silva.
plug, man. Yeah, he's a fire plug for the defense. That's going to be missed, but that's part of it. It's next man up opportunity. So now you got T. Miles who'll get more opportunity, and then you got Jake Howard who'll get a bigger opportunity as well now.
Well, you saw that last year because your defensive back started off pretty deep in that spot, and then all of a sudden you were playing guys you didn't expect to play.
Yeah, it's very similar.
But we saw some guys emerge last year. Are you seeing that in practice? Because obviously we've only played one game in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So we haven't seen a lot of continuity in football. How much do you worry about kind of that falling back because they were getting kind of in a groove and now they're not?
I mean,
nobody expects 2 out of 3 weeks.
No, I mean, you're always worried about that just because you feel like the more you play, the better off you're going to get, So, but it is what it is. There's nothing we can do about that. So I'm not going to use it as an excuse. We just got to get out there and get ready to go.
So when you guys get together and talk about recruiting, are you recruiting almost a different class or a different group of kids you thought you would be recruiting 6 months ago or 5 months ago when you had the class coming? Because I know a couple months ago you didn't worry about recruiting running backs. Now you're going to recruit running backs.
Yeah.
Are you seeing the same thing on defense?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, really, when you go into the year, you only had so many spots. We knew we would have more, but we didn't know how many more we would have. And now you're going to probably have a good, healthy class again.
And what's the one thing this defensive group has to do in the offseason? A lot of it seems to me, it has to just get physically stronger, physically in the weight room, and get some depth, especially in the top front 6.
Yeah, definitely depth in the front 6. I think we need some pass rushers on the edges. I think that's going to be something that's going to be a big-time emphasis. And as far as players are concerned, and definitely the weight room.
Let's talk about Southeastern and then the last 2 games. 3 winnable games for you guys.
Definitely.
But Southeastern, start with that. They have the 2 quarterbacks. One played in the league last year, Zach Clement.
Yep.
Up at Northwestern State. Came down, starts half the time, maybe plays half the time. Seems to be more of the running quarterback. When you see a running quarterback and a more of a passing quarterback, do you work on both of them during the week, or do you assume you're going to see both of them? Obviously, you're going to see both of them, but how much do you have to work on each?
No, I think they're similar in concepts, but it's pretty much exactly kind of how you said. Like when 13 and in the runner, you're going to get definitely more of quarterback run game, and then when 17's in there, you're going to get more running back run game. So it's like the run game is very similar. So like if they run the pin and pull with the running back when 17's in the game, then all of a sudden when 13 comes in, now they're running quarterback pin and pull, which is just playing with 11 because he's the runner.
Will they throw the ball a lot?
Yeah, they do a good job of mixing it up. I mean, they like to stay on track, right? So if they can run the football, they will all day. But if you put them in second and longs, I think they'll throw the football. If you put them in third and longs, of course they're gonna have to throw the football. But if they're in second and shorts, second and mediums, third and mediums, third and shorts, no, they're gonna run the ball.
Now, when you go into the last 3 games in a situation like this, how much are you looking forward or looking at what we have and what we have to get as far as your evaluation? I mean, obviously you want to win the games in that, but you also got to be realistic and say we have to find out what we have and more importantly, what we don't have, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about as far as our personnel and all that stuff is concerned?
Yeah, numbers and that.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely I think now more than ever, like, we're definitely focused on the season and all that stuff. But like in college football today, I think recruiting and season go hand in hand. So it's like when you're not game planning and when you're not practicing, you're recruiting for the next class.
You guys ended up recruiting last week when you didn't think you would be?
Oh yeah, we actually coach sent a couple guys out to Kansas for recruiting, and we definitely hit the road.
Is recruiting different now post COVID or post NIL, post transfer portal? How much different is it? How much are you finding out that you have to sell and are still selling, constantly selling your program?
I think probably since COVID, to be honest with you, I think recruiting has 100% changed. Especially with the world of NIL, I think it's totally different. The better players you want, they want to know that. That's one of the first questions they ask, especially the better they are. So I think that's definitely something that in college football today, you're going to have to figure out a way to deal with it.
Do you guys still get hurricane questions?
Honestly, I haven't got any hurricanes. I mean, you get hurricanes, yeah, but not like, how much is the damage or anything like that.
No, but there's I know for one fact that when Lamar went in after you guys went in, they said, well, they don't even have running water over there yet.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure when you're recruiting against everybody, you're gonna bring up everything. But as far as like the players, to me, I have not.
But this is actually going to be the first really recruiting class where you've had the weight room and the locker room where you can go out and recruit and show them instead of saying this is what's coming. You can actually show them now.
And that's a totally different ballgame. Like when you put renderings up, that's cool, but show me. You know what I'm saying? Like, but now you can show them, right? So you can come in and you can say, hey, this is our locker room. This is our weight room. This is what we're doing. So there's not like just a picture up there. Like that's good for a little bit. But for the top echelon players, they want to see it.
Especially when you consider the fact that if you're a kid with only 1 year left, why would you invest that 1 year? You want to see that already up and already in place, don't you?
Especially for 1 year guys.
Yeah.
Like that's great for the next 2-3 years down the line. They want to see what's now.
You got to get kids. Well, you guys are trying to get these kids committed to build it with you.
Yes.
How hard is that though in today's world?
It's definitely a part of it. It's definitely a hurdle we have to face, but there's nothing we can necessarily do about that currently, So the good thing is we did get a new locker room that's beautiful, and when we get a new weight room, it's going to be beautiful, I'm sure, So, I think those things will help out immensely. I do. I think they will.
Do you like some of the pieces for the future in this place?
Oh, this place, yeah, I love it. This place is...
As the kids, as far as the roster goes, some of the young guys
yes.
you guys have brought in.
Yes.
Did you see that?
I do. I definitely see a lot of talent there. Like they're playing earlier, right? Like, truthfully, we're playing, I was saying earlier, we're playing with 15 guys that are freshmen or sophomores. Like, Incarnate Word's not doing that.
Yeah.
They're playing with 15 guys that are seniors. So it's like, it's going to be good. It's just not going to be good this second.
And keeping people patient is always the hardest
It's the hardest part. It's the hardest part, but it's part of it.
Are you surprised that you still get 9,000-10,000 people to games?
That shows the support of the community. They love their football here, and I see why. It's a place with a ton of tradition, and it's a great place.
When you guys get that, and Incarnate Word wins, and they get 2,000. It's a very strange conference when it comes to that.
Yeah, it is. It is. But there's, the thing that we can control is we love our fans.
Do kids ask you about a move up or anything do they hear the rumors about that?
The kids necessarily you talk about on a current roster.
Yeah.
No, they haven't really asked too much about that currently right now. No, they have not.
Coach Peck has joined us here for the last two segments. I just want to thank you, Coach, for joining us.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Want to get a couple of things out there. Remember, soccer won today 4-3 on penalty kicks. They will play Friday in the Southland Conference Tournament. Men's basketball at VCU. Then they come home for next Friday night to play their home opener. Women's basketball opens at 11 a.m. on Monday. On the Kids' Day, bring your earplugs because there's going to be a whole lot of young kids there screaming and hollering. As far as football goes, a strange year continues to be strange. The first game in 21 days, McNeese will be back at it against Southeastern. Also 1-7, both highly predicted this year, both struggling. That game is at 3 o'clock in Hammond. If you can't get to it, make sure you listen to it on 92.9 FM The Lake Want to thank them for having us on the air tonight. Want to thank MAF for having us and sponsoring this. Thank all our sponsors. We'll see you next week on the PokeCast, and thank all of our guests tonight. Thank you for joining us.